Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is Societal Narcissism. This video is sponsored by contribution from Dana. Before I get to Dana's video, please go to the description box, click on the Rumble link. I ask everybody to watch over there as I'm still monetized, and it'll help out with the channel. On to the content. So Dana, I guess, had a theme, sent in back-to-back videos. This one I am not familiar with. Sovereign Eerie. I don't know if that's the actual channel or if this is a repost from someone else. The Epidemic of White Male Suicide by Vertigo Politics. I don't know Vertigo Politics either, so this is new to me. Let's go. Pan Am, now defunct. So many defunct companies in this American companies. It's just sad.
Last August, Richard Russell, a 29-year-old baggage handler at
the Sky King. Okay, this is the Sky King. He was like a baggage handler or a maintenance guy. He actually got on an Alaska Airlines jet and took off with it. No pilot training, flying it around, talking on the radio, and then he crashed it into an island because, he just had it. With society, had it all. And he had gotten, online, he had gotten a lot of support, and I understand the sentiment of it, but he could have hurt some people. He could have, that plane could have went down somewhere in a populated area. He could have really have hurt some people. So I appreciate what he was doing, though I would never take my own life, and I'm not for killing yourself or suicide. But, I get it. But he could have hurt some people.
SeaTac International Airport, took a twin turboprop Q400 that had been parked for the night, flew it for some 25 miles, then deliberately nosedived into the Puget Sound off the coast of Washington State. Among the despairingly poignant aspects of the final moments before Rich's death was his determination to execute a barrel roll before finding a solitary place to crash the plane. The key moment of this surreal event was the final interaction he had with an air traffic controller, during which an anxious, distracted, and clearly troubled young man attempted to make humorous small talk by asking whether an airline company would give him a job as a pilot if he was able to land the plane safely. The ATC replied, I think they'd give you a job doing anything if you could pull this off." Richard then nervously laughed at the notion and simply said, "Yeah, right. Nah, I'm a white guy." We will never know what combination of reasons led him to take his own life, but this final ominous exchange resonates strongly with the growing problem. White men across the West are taking their lives at terrifying rates. Another sign of something deeper in the nature of Richard's death was the response from the European nationalist community on social media. He was quickly given the admiring and sympathetic hashtag of Sky King, and whereas the mainstream news and all aspects of the liberal political establishment appeared to ignore the story altogether, hundreds of social media accounts altered their usernames to include plane emojis, producing tribute videos, and expressing sincere condolences for the loss of this likable young man.
Right, because you can appreciate why he did what he did. You could appreciate this guy was fed up. It's just not the thing to do. But once he did it and he's up there and you heard the audio and you get it. I get it. But you can't do that. You just can't. You could have really hurt somebody. Obviously could have killed people if he lost control. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's not trained to fly a commercial aircraft, or I don't think any aircraft. It's unbelievable what he pulled off, don't get me wrong, but dangerous.
Even setting aside the epic nature of Richard's death, his suicide clearly touched a nerve. But why? A primary reason is that the New Right, more than any other Western cultural or political group, is already keenly aware that white, heterosexual males are being forced into an existential crisis by contemporary social and political developments. In 2015, 2 Princeton economists found that the death rate among white, middle-aged men, rather than falling, like with most other groups, was skyrocketing. According to suicide prevention expert Dr. Christine Moutier, middle-aged white men account for over 70% of deaths from suicide each year. 9/10 of them are from the lower socioeconomic class. When combined with the staggering death tolls of white males from the opioid crisis, no other combination of diseases achieves such mortality figures. Men in the UK, for example, between the ages of 20 and 49, are more likely to die from suicide than any other cause of death.
Because you've been told you're garbage just for being born, like over and over and over again. And every avenue of advancement and success has been cut off, taken from you, and then you're blamed for it. But the answer isn't to go and do this, because you need more white men, not less. We don't need martyrs. You don't need martyrs. You need boots on the ground.
Even the Australian government announced that male suicide rates constituted an epidemic. Aside from instances of personal individual trauma, there are 3 layers of explanation for this unfolding and worsening catastrophe, only some of which are discussed with any merit in the mainstream media, and they can be broadly defined as cultural, sexual, and racial. In the realm of culture, it is clear that Western civilization has fully entered a stage of sterility and degradation, resulting in a pervasively meaningless, spiritually barren human life. An unavoidable factor in this context was the rise of technology and the aftermath of the Industrial Revolution.
And the problem is, white men are mocked and taunted over it incessantly by people that we know were more powerful than, smarter than, have better rationalization and managing skills than. Yet and still, the other side is the one who has the power. You don't get your power back by having less boots on the ground. You do it by more. And that's not to say, and look, that's not to say from what I said in my last video about, you can only push men so far. And you don't need a majority of men to conquer and rule at will. However, the more you have, the easier it is. Why make it more difficult on ourselves?
Or at least the spirit which accompanied these developments, with Martin Heidegger best identifying this malaise in his 1954 work, The Question Concerning Technology. The culture of modern technology, with its emphasis on unending exploitation of resources and a hostility to obstacles of any kind, is inherently antagonistic to any non-fluid aspects of human life, such as biological sex differences, borders and nation-states, Christian, pagan or romantic beliefs in purpose and higher meaning, or even the notion that a man could have a career in a single field. In fact, our entire education system is now built on providing students with sets of skills, rather than expertise in any particular field, the goal being the production of a pool of potential employees adaptable to a wider variety of surrogate situations. The Financial Times is now advising young graduates to prepare for at least 5 different careers during their lifetime, many graduating from college without a path or grand project by which to navigate their lives. Their existence is doomed from...
The more the more they expand this, 5 different careers, the less likely you're going to be able to find a job in any of them.
The outset, only to be dominated by transience and interchangeability, rendering them quite literally into spokes on a wheel. The next set of explanations for this epidemic concerns the revolution in sexual relations. While being stripped of any meaning, the modern working and educational environments have been thoroughly feminized. Well-paid industrial jobs have all but disappeared in the West, being replaced with unskilled work, low-wage roles that privilege female-oriented skill sets, or the equally feminine office and middle managerial class of brown-nosing occupations.
You have to understand the other motivation behind this. Okay, I study a lot of World War II history. A lot. I love World War II. I love the aircraft of World War II, the P-51, the B-29, the P-38 Lightning. I mean, the P-51 Mustang is still, in my opinion, the greatest aircraft ever built. It's amazing. But you have to understand, you have to realize why we won World War II. It wasn't because we were better fighters, we were better trained. It was our industry. It was our factories. We outproduced Japan, Germany. We were rolling off a brand new B-29 Superfortress, B-29 every 63 minutes. We were, for every one they were shooting down, we were producing 3 more. We were releasing, I think, a destroyer every 4 days. The Essex class carriers, they were being built in, I think, something like 2 months. They couldn't sync this stuff fast enough. It was mathematics. It was simple mathematics. And a lot of the leaders in Japan and in Germany, they knew it, but they were, they'd file reports, and that stuff was just thrown to the wayside. Okay, they thought that their superior technology, their superior fighting spirit, or their superior training would win it all, and we would just throw our hands up. No. The United States had unlimited resources for fuel, steel, aluminum, technology, factories all over this country, which makes us basically, with our location, makes us basically impervious to invasion or attack. They can't reach us. They can't. And even if they could, they would be so overwhelmed, it couldn't happen. So the only way to defeat Western culture, okay, and to make us weak was to destroy our manufacturing and factory base. That's why so many jobs are sent overseas, our technology, our factoring, our automotive, all of it. Okay, because we were able within 6 months to convert Ford, General Motors, okay, Oldsmobile, all the factories, all our automotive factories, all our technological factories, whether they were making hearing aids or refrigerators, they all transformed into military equipment. The V-2 rocket was defeated within 3 months because we developed a proximity chip made in hearing aid factories, because hearing aids have very, very tiny components, which you needed. And they figured out that you don't need to hit the rocket, okay, because those rockets were moving so fast. They were expelling something like 800 shells to knock out one rocket. You couldn't take them down fast enough. With the proximity chip, all you had to do was have this thing explode in the general facility, and it knocked out the rocket. It worked on radio waves. So it was transmitting radio waves. And as soon as that radio wave hit something solid and bounced back, it exploded and knocked it out. Our technological advances due to our factory bases is what won the war, is what made the United States, the power in the world, because nobody could match our output. And that includes, and let's not forget, our unlimited fuel reserves, our fuel resources. We could just keep pumping it out. The cargo ships, we're pumping out two new cargo ships every day. They couldn't sink them fast enough because they were built for functionality, not for beauty, not to be the perfect ship, to be in abundance. We could just keep rolling this stuff out one after another, and it was simple mathematics. That's why Admiral Yamamoto, the head of the Japanese Navy, warned he did not want to attack Pearl Harbor. He's like, I lived there. I know what their industrial base is. I can run wild for 6 months, and after that, we're finished. If we can't take down the United States and get them to sue for peace within 6 months, we lose, and we lose bad. 6 months later, the Battle of Midway happens. We take out their 4 aircraft carriers. The war, their air superiority, their naval presence is basically finished at that point. This is how the rest of the world attacked the United States, by having them offshore our jobs for cheaper wages and playing into the greed of these corporations. And that's why you have these rotting, empty factories. This is why Trump wants to bring them back, because he realizes that our economic security, our manufacturing security is national security. And one of the results of destroying these industries was destroying the white man.
Affirmative action policies, explicit or not, are leading to a massive influx of women at all levels of the education system, displacing men while marginalizing male learning preferences. One of the great lies of the equality agenda is that it is without any costs. Nothing could be further from the truth. What equality in fact achieves is the redistribution of power, influence, and meaning for those sections of the populace deemed privileged by the liberal left establishment. In the United States, the academic performance of boys has been in decline since 1960. Similar patterns have been observed in Canada, the UK, and Australia. The marginalization and feminization of males in educational and workplace environments proceeds unchallenged because of the widespread demonization of white masculinity in this postmodern, sterile, resource-focused culture. Jonathan Bowden once opined that masculinity is a sacred thing. Channeled aggression, stoicism, self-control, ambition, a keen sense of honor, and when necessary, well-ventilated fury are indeed sacred aspects of Western masculinity, having been marked upon our souls since before the Iliad was written. For centuries after Homer, these traits were admired and praised, being worked into poetry and art. Today, however, all aspects of this masculinity are designed as undesirable, declared toxic, and scheduled for management by the feminized technological state. The final set of explanations for the explosion in white male suicides involves race. We now live in a time where almost every project or endeavor is measured according to prevailing ideological dogma, with that primary measure being the allowable number of white males those projects or endeavors will involve. Too many white men has become the greatest condemnation that can be leveled at any film, play, book, sport, academic discipline, civic institution, or government.
And men are getting sick of hearing it. It's just sick of hearing it. And that's the good thing about these Gen Z young bros. They're not having it. They're not having it. They're sick of it. They've been listening to this indoctrination since grade school. Used to look, I didn't have teachers like that. My generation didn't have teachers like you didn't start hearing this nonsense until college. And that's why, you had the old trope once you go to college. My kid went to college, a normal kid comes back the first semester, some kind of Marxist communist hippie. The college indoctrination doesn't work anymore because because these children have been going to school in this indoctrination, being told how evil and nasty and useless they are since kindergarten. So once they hit their teen years and they're looking to rebel, especially the one with the woke parents, they're going right. They're going conservative. They're going traditional. And now it's deemed these college university wokesters pretty much redundant and useless. It doesn't work anymore because they've been hearing it already. There's nothing to rebel against. They rebel against them. So that's a good thing.
The absence or elimination of the white man, the new social pariah, thus becomes an inherent moral good within the culture. Given the state of affairs, it wasn't at all surprising when, 2 years ago, Democrats in Maine were caught on video laughing about the rising suicide rates among white males. They undoubtedly felt that this had become acceptable because their target group had been thoroughly dehumanized by their culture.
The beta males, yeah. The beta males who are in competition with the white males, who feel inferior with the alpha white males, they're thrilled about it.
Feminism and the racial dynamics of the liberal multicultural state. Of course, the most observable manifestation of this engineered socialization is affirmative action. The exact figures for the millions of white men excluded from employment in the societies built by their forefathers will never be discoverable. What is knowable, however, is the very existence of affirmative action is a demoralizing affront to the dignity of every hardworking white man in the West. Most poignantly, and within the context of this present essay, this disheartening effect was etched into every syllable uttered by Richard Russell when he balked and said, "Nah, I'm a white guy." Faced with such an overwhelmingly oppressive social atmosphere, it isn't surprising that so many white men are finding themselves in places of despair. On a final note,
not only that, he knew he would be punished even more severely for being a white man. So if I land this plane, my life is over. Should have still landed it. Still should have landed it. He could have killed a lot of people.
In Schopenhauer's essay on suicide, he states that the general view of suicide is one of cowardliness, that only a madman would commit it, and other similarly vulgar judgments, or that it is morally wrong, despite being nothing in the world a man has a more incontestable right to than his own life in person. In explanation of Richard Russell's case, perhaps, as Heidegger would have it, he quite literally lived towards death. Faced with a life stripped of any meaning, only an end imbued with such gave him some last tangible feeling of control. Almost every aspect of his final moments could be understood this way. from the conversation with the air traffic controller to the barrel roll against the western sky. He could not determine how he lived, so he determined how he would die. And in this, perhaps, something meaningful can be derived.
I think that's a good point of why men actually go through it. Because if you can't control how you live, they want to at least control how they die. And that's sad. But that isn't the way. That isn't the way. You have to fight for your control. You have to. Because you need more boots on the ground, not less. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you, Dana, for another contribution and clip. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, something you want to expose, you want to set up a Skype phone call, have a private video made, you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with either the Cash App, Zelle, PayPal, and email links in the description box below. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. Also, be sure to subscribe to both my channels on Rumble. If you haven't watched the video over there, please do. Even a click helps. Follow me on TikTok, X, and Telegram as well. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been Societal Narcissism. Take care, everyone.